gone through the last video?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just discussing about this documentation basically. So for this batch, even you will have a video access definitely. But apart from these, I'm just preparing the documentation as well. Sometimes people will, not feeling to watch the video end-to-end process. So documentation may takes less time than video. So they can quickly go through the documentation and follow the steps if they miss anything when they do practice. Also, some of the intro perspective, I'm just adding this documentation. And the topic wise, like let's say this week we will cover the EC2 section where it is. Yeah, here EC2 section. So in that, I will add the interview questions, beginner to real time troubleshootings like that. So we will have a definitely video as well and the documented as well. So you can refer anywhere. So today we will cover about the EC2 part. Okay. So can anyone just explain me any few things like why we use EC2 servers or what components we design when we create the EC2 servers? What component we need? Use case and component.
Yeah, it's like a virtual machine. So either we can go with the Windows or Linux.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And use cases.
So we create instance for our day-to-day activity.
What
So we
day-to-day
can
activities?
like we can perform our activity.
Any example?
Any example means just like we can host our website in that server.
Correct.
Then we can manage our data in that server.
Mhm. And what component we need to create the servers?
So component just like a VPC, region, security group, subnet. Yeah, that's it, I think.
Okay, right. Yeah, as you said, the use case is basically like we can obviously host the any application or website, we can say. Okay. Then in traditional way, nowadays people are using RDS in the AWS, but in the traditional way, or still people are using EC2 servers for to install the database. When we say the database, it can be your MySQL or your MongoDB sometimes. Okay. Then your Postgres, PGSQL, and sometimes on the Windows base, people use MS SQL. So nowadays, most of the company preferring to use RDS for their its feature. Okay, we will see the separate section in the RDS what features we will get. But still, people apart from the website or application hosting, people can use for your DB installation or DB hosting basically. Yeah, you can see some of the example for the database. So apart from this, sometimes people
Sir, your voice is stuck.
just I'm connecting my mobile hotspot, so it's get stuck. Let me switch my network.
Okay.
Now audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Apart from website and the application hosting, when we say the website or application hosting, it can be your PHP based application website, or your normal HTML, or your Java based, on that web server you can install Nginx or your Apache, which we can say HTTP package. We will cover in the Linux part what is this Nginx web server or Apache. Okay, so these are the some of the part of the website hosting, and these are the for the database. In the database, some of the company use still EC2 servers. Okay, by using MySQL, MongoDB, Postgres, or Linux based, Windows based MS SQL servers. It's a Windows based database servers. Okay, so there are some limitations, pros and cons, we can say, benefits or some limitations, because in the RDS section is a relational database service. We will not get backend server SSH access or something in the RDS case. Ultimately, we will not get full access, we can say. But in EC2 section, we can get the full access. We can log into through the putty, and we can do whatever inside the system. But in the RDS cases, we will not get that. We will get only the your super user access, database access, user credentials, and from there we can just only connect to the database, not the backend system where the RDS your database server hosted. So there are some pros and cons on those. So we will see in when we start RDS. Okay, so to understand the EC2 servers use cases, so these are the some of the use cases. Apart from that, you can just either you can store any application data, okay, or you can just store any kind of log data or something. Some of the times people use to execute any jobs or shell scripting, you can say, to execute any particular jobs or whatever the logics they have written. Okay, so these are the some examples to use case of the EC2 servers. So now component what we need in the EC2. So definitely first, as I said, when we launch any resources or servers in the AWS. So first what we need first AWS region. Okay. First we need to decide which region we can choose. So as we have seen in the earlier session, the nearest region for us we can choose definitely by default. Okay. Because of the latency and other stuffs. The major part is latency definitely. Then apart from this, we need to design our architecture with the multi availability zones. Okay, because in every region, if you can look at the AWS infrastructure, so there is no single availability zones you can find. You can find more than two. Okay, so you will not get the one availability zones in any region because of their model. So they suggested, as we have seen about the AWS well framework architect, 6 pillars. Okay, to maintain your infrastructure sustainability and the availability. So that they always suggest to use your EC2 servers in the different availability zones. Okay, in the introduction part, we have seen about the what is the availability zones. Availability zone is nothing but your physical data center. Okay, so we need to decide the architecture to create the resource EC2 servers. So which is normally availability zones. Okay, so when we design, so in that definitely we will design the VPC first. Okay, and inside VPC we create our normal uh, subnets. Okay, it can be your public or your private. Okay, private subnets. And apart from that, what you need, like we need CPU, memory, then what else we need? OS, which OS we want to, or AMI, Amazon Machine Image, we can say. Okay, then your security group, your IP. These are the some of the component example basically when we create this. So when when we do the requirement gathering, so definitely we will ask about the use cases, because we directly don't go blindly and create any resources. Okay, as I said, for the cost optimization part, we need to consider the use cases, utilization, and the storage part. Because once we create the storage, let's say you have created storage 50 GB of the servers, and later you realize that you need only 10 GB use case storage. So reduction is not possible in the AWS premises. Okay, you can increase EBS volume anytime, but you can't reduce it. That is the limitation. Okay, so for that better understanding, we need to first understand the requirements like use cases. Okay, is this application external or internal? How much the traffic load, or is there a
It
kind
will
of
be
e-commerce?
Namdev, it
Yeah,
will be for
yeah, yeah.
the only for the storage levels, or it will be for the memory and CPU level also.
Yes, yes,
Reduction,
memory and CPU as well.
reduction is
Reduction,
not possible.
CPU memory you can reduce, no issues.
Okay, but we can't reduce
Only,
the storage.
yes, yes, storage part is restricted. So the reason behind is like AWS doesn't know which blob storage your data is available. So that is there are some certain limitation inside that. So if you aware about the LVM partitions, so definitely we aware that we can reduce the partitions. But in this case, AWS case, we can't reduce it. If you're already working on this LVM part, anyone work on that LVM on the Linux?
Small kind of I have work.
Yeah. So in that case, you can reduce, but in the AWS cases, we can't reduce it. So because there might be data loss, so which sector they have stored, they don't know. So they just given this restriction. So use case like a external application or internal, or it's just normal traffic applications or e-commerce kind of applications, something. Then once use case is confirmed,
Namdev,
yeah.
I just want to confirm this. Now we, for example, we have launched our instance in Mumbai region,
Okay.
and there we will be getting the availability zone like AP South 1.
1 and B, yes.
Yeah. And then you said that it is suggest means AWS recommends that we need to deploy our instance in two availability zones. Can you just say the overview how it is done then?
How we can configure, did you mean?
Yeah. Can you just give the overview, because I basically what we do, we select this region, Mumbai region, and there we launch our EC2 instance, and on that instance we do our R&D.
Mhm.
Whatever things we want to do, we can do on that instance.
Yeah.
But then the same instance, how can we means how the same replica of the instance will be there in another availability zone?
Yeah, definitely we will cover this section, in EC2 section. Okay, so don't worry about that. So now I'm just giving some theoretical overview. So when we launch EC2
Okay.
section, we will I will show you from where is that option we can select the availability zones.
Okay.
Yeah. So any other questions?
No, please.
Okay. So once we confirm with the use cases, is this any event happening or normal use cases? Let's say why I'm asking this, because when you aware about the use cases requirements, sometimes we need to configure the auto scaling part. Okay, we will see in the coming session. Okay, what is the auto scaling and when we can configure, because when we design the architecture in the production environments, we need to think all the perspective, because as we can't say like production down ho gaya, fir so that's what we need to design the proper architecture where your auto scaling should be there, your load balancer should be there. Behind that you need to configure the your EC2 servers with the multiple availability zones. Okay, because if something goes wrong with the one availability zones, let's say one data center, so what will happen, your production system will down, and ultimately you will lose your customers, your business trust, and obviously your infrastructure. So that is the part of this scalability. Okay, so we will cover that. So then definitely according to use cases we can just consider decide like it's a general purpose use cases or CPU based. Okay, and anyway as a CPU and memory we can reduce and increase anytime, there is no restriction. Okay, so there is no worry about this. If you find like you have a valid application data coming traffics like that, okay, and you want to increase the servers, definitely you can just take a either a if your server behind the load balancer, you can just remove one by one servers, and you can just increase as I shown last session, but I will show again this as we have restarted the batch. So we can just increase the size or decrease the size based on the utilization. So for that, you can just use monitoring tool, either CloudWatch itself, or if you are monitoring any using any other tools like Grafana or something. So you can just check the history like last 1 month, 2 months, or whatever. So based on that, you can decide if you want to increase the server capacity or reduce it. Okay, CPU and memory. So in the AWS, CPU and memory is a different configuration, and hard drive is a like a EBS volume is a different configuration. Okay, so when you increase the capacity of the CPU and memory or reduce, so there will be a no data loss. Just keep this in mind. Okay, so it is just a configuration changes. But when you do your EBS volume increase, so as a best practice, you can just definitely go and just take one manual backup of the servers just for the safer side. Definitely during the increase of the EBS volume, there is no data loss. Okay, but just for the safer side, if you execute the command any by mistake or something, any other commands which might data corrupt or data loss. So just to avoid that kind of issue, we can just safer side. I will suggest ki just take one backup just for the safer side. Okay, so we will cover that part as well. Just increase the EBS volume size. I think I have mentioned here. Yes, increase disk space, Linux and Windows. Okay, it's a simple process, but the safer side, you can just take the backup. How we can take the backup, I will show you. Okay. So once the other basic requirement is clear, then you can just ask about the disk space, how much data it would be. If sometimes client not predicted, like we don't know how much data we might get or something. Okay. So in that case, you can just go with the minimum size, 10 GB or something. Okay. When we create the Linux server, it's a default is 8 GB. Okay, either you can go with the default or you can just select the 10 GB just to avoid unnecessary extra cost. Okay, so after some certain months or something, when you realize like yes, application data is valid and it's growing gradually. Okay, in that case, you can just decide to increase 5 GB more or 10 GB more. Okay, there is no restriction. You can definitely go and increase it without taking any major downtime. Okay, you don't need to take any extra downtime for this activity. And then security group. Okay, is this application internet sorry, external facing, I mean the public facing, or internal? Okay, within event, what is the internal means in your within a VPN premises, like your office premises basically, I want to say. Okay, so if it's a external application where the public also need to access this your applications, so in that case we need to open your traffic, HTTP and HTTPS for the secure. Okay, so these two ports we need to open, 80 and 443. So these are the some basic requirement basically. And apart from this, obviously as a standard practice, we need to enable the monitoring. Okay, monitoring metrics could be your CPU, memory, and your what else, your application URL sometimes. Okay, and if you are hosting a database on the EC2 section, so definitely you can just add the monitoring for the database port as well. Okay, so these are the some monitoring part. So any doubts till now before jumping into the practical session?
No, sir.
Okay, yeah, these are the some stuff basically. So now we will see the practical session. So as I said, first we need to select the region. Okay, so the region should be your nearest where you are located, or the business basically, not the individual users. So let's say we are in the okay. Once you select the region basically. Okay, so coming section we will see about the VPC part. Just for today's section, we can just simply launch EC2 servers, Linux and Windows. And when we cover the VPC, I will show you its details like VPC architecture, which component we need, VPC setup, actual setup. Then what is the use of NAT gateway, and then some theoretical concept about the NACL, NACL, the security group, because these are the interview questions. Then VPC pairing, what is the use cases of the VPC pairing when we use, okay, and how we can track the VPC traffic logs. Okay, these are the some basic components, basic things basically we will see. Okay, so how we can launch servers now? Either you can go from here instance running, or you can just launch it from here either. Okay, so just click on this running instance. You can see just one my website server is running here. Okay, it's just a virtual machine. So you will get this option launch instance. Simply just click on that. Here you can give the name, okay, like a demo AWS or just demo EC2. We will first launch it for the Linux, demo EC2 Linux. Okay, then OS we need to decide which is the use cases, like Windows based or application. Basically it's a .NET based application or normal PHP or Java based applications. Okay, so I will either you can go with the Ubuntu or Amazon Linux. Just to make a note here, Ubuntu in the AWS Ubuntu, for the Ubuntu OS username will be Ubuntu. Okay, and for the Amazon Linux it will be a EC2 hyphen users user. Okay, so it's a basically the Linux flavor OS, but AWS design and some modification, customize, basically customize OS from the AWS sides. So they have added some agents and some packages over there on the Linux, Amazon Linux. Okay, so that's why they have given the name Amazon Linux. So if I select this Amazon Linux and then just scroll down a little bit, here is the configuration where you can decide the CPU and memory configuration. Okay, if you just select, just drop down, you will get all the configuration here. Okay, so let's say if you want to launch server for the C4 series, just search C4 or particular instance size, like say list C4x large. Okay, these are the just a configuration family. Okay, so we don't need to confuse. As a free trial account, because we are using free trial account, so always we can launch the servers by using where the applicable is free trial eligible. Okay, which is T2 micro. If you launch apart from this, definitely you will get the cost, like any T2 medium or T3 medium or large or something. So definitely you will get additional cost for that. Okay, so in T2 what we will get, we will get one CPU and one memory, 1 GB memory here. Okay, and also you can see the cost as well here. So once instance configuration is done, then we will come to this key pair. Key pair is basically as simple as for the Windows, we will get username and password, okay, for the credentials. And for the Linux, in AWS, they have designed some additional security. If you go to the traditional way in the data center, normally we don't have this concept like a key-based authentication, okay. But AWS designed this security part. So definitely after logging the servers, we can disable this key-based login and we can enable the passwordless. But by default, they have made this mechanism. You need to first create the key pair, which is similar to your credentials, username and password. Okay. So here, if you have already created some key pair, private key pairs, you can just select from here. Okay. So last time I have deleted all the default key pairs. So just to avoid unnecessary multiple key pair here. So we can just go with the new one. Okay. So just simply click on this, create new one, and just give the key pair name. Okay. Let's say demo EC2 Linux. Okay. And here you can just select the RSA. It's an encryption method basically. And here, if you are using Windows based Linux based machine, you can just go with definitely with the PAM file. And if you are using the Windows based machine or from the putty, you can use this PPK. Okay. Even we can use putty tool to generate the this PAM file to PPK. Okay. So now we can go with this PPK file and simply create it. Okay. So it will automatically download. I think Sharad, last time you are facing this issue.
Yes, sir.
So now it's clear.
Yes, sir.
I'm also facing
Clear.
the same issue.
Okay.
Clear, sir.
Okay. So now once the key pair is generated, now it's coming to the network setting, which is VPC section. Okay. So we will cover separately what is the VPC and components. Okay. Here we can just select the our VPC which we want to use. This is IP basically. Okay. So for the this DevOps batch, we have created this demo DevOps VPC. So we can go with that, which will we will get the VPC range like 1N to 168. Okay. And here the subnet which I was talking about, the which availability zones you have this you can decide, right? When we want to design this servers just to make the like our in infrastructure we have this load balancer. Then in behind that load balancer we have two servers. Okay. EC2 1 and EC2 2. Why we create this load balancer and behind that two servers? Okay. If something goes wrong with this website servers or data center availability zones, so at least our website will running from the separate another EC2 servers, which will be hosted in the separate availability zones. Okay. Which is the separate dedicated data center, just to make our operation business smoother. Okay. So user will not impact anything for this failure. Okay. So how we can decide select this? So once you select your VPC, you can see the subnet here. So you can go with the first one. When you create the servers first time, you can see the availability zones name here, AP South 1A. Okay. And when you launch another servers, in that case, you can select another public subnet, which will be AP South 1B. Okay. Which means they will create in this separate data center, not the same data center. Okay. Because availability zones are different. And as we learn about that, availability zones is nothing but a physical data center, right? Clear on this? I'm audible?
Yes, yes, sir. Little
Okay.
bit
Yeah.
problem created in our voice. Acceptable.
So these are the fine now, right? Which availability zones we can select for the failover. For first servers, you can select AP South 1A, and when you launch same setup servers for the same applications, you can select different availability zones where your public subnet is created, which can be your AP South 1B. Okay, you can see the name here, AP
So,
South 1B.
so for
Hmm.
example, if we are creating a server in
Hmm.
Mumbai region, so
Hmm.
primary server is in Mumbai region, secondary server is in Pune region, like that.
No, no. A region is basically your particular city, location, or country. So in
Okay.
that region, there might be a multiple
For example, the server is created in Vikhroli. First server is created in Vikhroli, Mumbai region only, and second
Hmm.
server is created in Mumbai region, Andheri. That
Yeah,
like
yeah, yes, correct.
okay.
So when they AWS design their physical data center, they definitely they will not put under the same buildings, because as we said, if something happen within the war situation or any natural calamities, so if one single database server physical data center is collapse, then what will happen? So at least they just make that kind of provision. So they put either in the separate building or just nearest any other locations like that when they design their data center. So for same like we can just select first AP South 1A, and when we launch another servers, then we can launch it in different one, AP South 1B. So if something goes wrong with this AP South 1A, so at least our website will running from the AP South 1B, different data center. I hope it's clear now. Availability zones.
Yes.
Okay. So coming to the firewall section, so it's basically the security groups. So it's nothing but like your how you can open the traffics, which port you want to open for the either your particular IP address or for the global things like 00 we can mention, right? So we can define the rules in this security groups. Either if you have any existing security groups you have created which is similar to firewall rules, okay, or you can just create new one. Okay, so we will go with the new one. So you can just select this option, create new security groups, and just give the name like demo EC2 Linux security group. Okay, and just simply you can see by default it's SSH is enabled there. It's anywhere, but in the real time cases we should not open this SSH anywhere. Okay, there might be a compliance issue because in the real time industry they use multiple security scanner tools in their industry. Where I am currently working, they have a multiple tools they have implemented. There might be a third party tools or from the AWS itself. Okay, so whenever we open this kind of traffic, it might be your sensitive port, basically SSH, your MySQL port or your RDP port. So they will trigger these alerts if you by mistakenly open this SSH port anywhere. Okay, so best practice is when we working in the real time industry, we don't need to select this option anywhere. Okay, so always we can go with the custom, and you can add your VPN IP address because every company has their own network where the network team manages VPN. Okay, their physical manageable switches firewall. So they created the VPN address there, IP address. Definitely, if you are already working somewhere, so you might already aware about this VPN concept. Okay, so we can add the VPN IP address here. Okay, for the best security practice. So for now, practice purpose, we can just go with this anywhere, okay? Because this is not something critical. We are using for just personal point of view. If you want to open any other port, you can definitely just go with this. Otherwise, you can just skip for now. So later, once created the server created, you can just manage this add anytime, okay? So there is no limitations. So under the network configuration, as we have seen last time, if you want to give the particular fixed IP address, private IP address, okay, not the elastic one. This is just additional tricks, okay? If sometimes if you go at any interview questions, how we can give the fixed IP address, private IP address, okay, to this particular instance. So you can just from the additional network configuration, you can give the under this primary IP. Last time we have seen this, right? Let's say we have a which IP VPC we have selected here. The range basically 192.168.0.0/16, okay, and the subnets RAM IP is 192.168.0.0/18. Let's try to give this IP. Let's say 192.168. This is just additional part. We don't need to give for the any servers. Okay, it will automatically fetch the get the IP address from the subnets what we have selected. Okay, just to showing the additional tricks here, we can go with this. Let's say 20. Okay, 192.168.0.20 here. Okay, and then we can just minimize it. Here the configuration storage where we want to give the storage part basically. Okay, so there is a different storage purpose you can see. If you want to if you have a use cases like high read write data you need, like any high extensively data where read write operation can be huge. So in that case you can use this provisional IOPS, okay, which is something like our SSD drive which we use in the laptop. As we have seen the observation, if you use SSD drive for the OS installation, our laptop will be a better perform, right? The booting time and the other write operations, application will not hang like that. So same thing here. You can go with the provisional IOPS, but if you look at the cost wise, the provisional IOPS will charge more than this general purpose. Okay, that is the things for the cost point of view. Okay, so normally we can go with this normal general purpose here. If you want to give storage, additional storage like 100 GB, 100 GB, 50 GB or something, you can just customize it. But for now, we can go with the default one. And as we have seen like we will go with this always lower storage. Okay, if you are not sure how much data we will have in this real time. Okay, so always go with the default one. In the later stage, if you realize that the storage is getting full, so in that case, you can just increase. Okay. If sometimes you have a use cases like just drive, we need one more additional drive. So you can just click on this and you can just create it simply. Okay. So now we almost done with all the configurations. Like what we need, we have given the server name, then OS which we want to install, then your server configuration, CPU memory, your login method, key pair. Okay. Then your network part basically will public subnet and the VPC. Your firewall rules, which we have seen the component section, security group rules, where we can open the port, any port like your custom port or any standard ports, SSH, my HTTP, MySQL, Postgres, something. Okay. Then storage configuration, we will go with go with this default one. And in this one more section, I want to show you additional details apart from this. So here you can see one more options. By default, it's a stop state. Shutdown behavior, it should be always stop. By default, it is in the stop state. But somehow when you do the configuration and if you by mistake select this terminate, okay, and somehow you after some days or something you run the command on your Linux machine, shutdown or something. So then you're in that case, your server will terminate. If you want to do hands-on practical, you can just definitely do today or tomorrow. Okay, but just don't select this terminate option. Okay, by default it will be a stop state. Okay, so don't worry about that, but just manually don't select this terminate. If you want to just see in the see if you want to see this as a practical, you can just try with your account. Okay, so no issues, but in the real time industry it will be a by default stop state. Okay, no need to select the terminate. And one more thing is termination protection. Okay, so it should be enabled here for the production servers, whatever you want to use in the real time. Okay, because if something goes wrong with the human mistakes or any script mistakes, whatever. Okay, so if that server is not protected, so in that case your server will be terminated. If you execute that kind of script to terminate the instance, or manually you want to terminate any one servers, but somehow by default by mistakenly this server production server also got selected from the list. Okay, so in that case you will be in the big trouble there. Okay, so just for the safer side, just make sure just termination protection should be enabled. Okay, somehow during the launch of your instance, if you forget to enable that, so at the later stage also you can just enable that. I will show you. So let's go with the default one and now we can just launch it. Okay, so one more thing here before launch, user data. Okay, so user data is basically you can write down the script here. Let's say after server launch, you want to run any particular things like you want to install the packages or your any you want to run any commands only when you launch the servers. Okay, or you want to install any Apache servers or frequent commands, Nginx servers like that. Okay, in that situation, you can just use this user data script. So when your server will launch, it will automatically execute. Okay, and this is the one-time execution, not the every time. When you rebooted the servers multiple times, no issues. Only when you launch the servers, it will only execute. Okay, so we can just quickly launch now. Any questions till now on the component selection? Anyone? Okay, no. So user data script example is simply like you can just mention like whatever command you want to install like install httpd, then your normal command service httpd state start, this kind of commands you can use here. Okay, simply we can launch it. It will take less than few minutes, and when we launch any particular instance we will get this instance ID. Okay, so you can use we are AWS CLI, we have seen last week, right? AWS CLI. So from that point we can also manage the servers. We can make a shutdown start from the command line. So it will take few less than few minutes. So let me check. So during the it's coming to the available running state. So it will perform the two checks, system checks and your instance check. Okay. So this is basically it's checking to the underlying system where this VM is getting created. Okay. And as well as your instance level checks like your applications, boot time and all the stuffs, application level. So they will check both the things. Once both are succeed, then it will come to 2 by 2 checks succeed here. Okay. In some time cases, in the this kind of issue comes very rare in the AWS infrastructure. Sometimes you might seen the issues or failure like 1 by 2 check fails. Okay. In that case, your server might not perform or you might not able to connect that servers. So in that situation, you can just the according to their documentation, they provide two solution. Either we can just select the server and make it shut down and again start it. Okay. Or simply just reboot it. So from the backend, it will happen. It will migrate automatically this VM to healthy state from the unhealthy servers. As a customer, we don't need to take care about the backend infrastructure. They have this logic place, so they will automatically migrate the servers to healthy state. But that kind of issues we face very rare case. So I can say in the 12 years of the experience in the AWS, it's just 2 or 3 times I just faced the issue. It's very rare kind of issues. If something goes wrong with their underlying hardware, network card or any hard drive failure or something on the physical data center where this VM getting created. This is simply VM, right? If you aware about this virtualization concept. So we will have a normal in even our home practicals, home machine or lab if you have a laptop or something. So we can just install any either we can install the what we can say KVM virtualization tools. Either we can use hypervisor VM. And then we install there is option like to enable the hypervisor when we go to the BIOS configuration in our normal laptop or desktop. So then we can enable that hypervisor option and we can just launch multiple VMs inside our physical machines. It's a similar to our normal individual house or your apartment, flats system. So in the single building, we can, there is a multiple family stay, right? Which is similar to VM machine here. We can launch multiple VMs there on the single physical machines. Ganesh, you're already working on virtualization, right?
Yes, I'm working on the virtualizations on the
Okay.
VMware.
Yeah, VMware. But nowadays you don't need to use that. I mean the practical purpose, not the official one. You can use free tier this eligible AWS account, and you can launch free tier eligible machines to have a practicals.
So thing is that I have already around one TB RAM is there in my UAT environment.
Physical machine. Okay.
Yes, not a it's a virtual machine. In my office setup, I have created some labs. The thing is that
Oh,
we have lab environment is there in our office scenarios.
mhm.
I'm working basically SBI UPI department. So we have full eligible to do the R&Ds.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. In the real time, we will get the sandbox kind of account when we look at this AWS environment. So definitely, if you are working on the virtual machine concepts, like you will get the some physical machines over there to have do any POCs before going to the production.
Yes.
So in the real time, we can say the word, we can use the word like sandbox, which is nothing but something practical accounts, basically similar to this live account, but where you have a freedom like you can launch any resources to perform any POCs before implementing actually in the production environment. And every company provide that kind of facility, except few one. So our server is ready. So as a properties, we can just check from here. If you select this, okay, particular servers, so you can just under the details, you will get all the details like your instance ID, your public IP, private IP, and DNS endpoint, okay, and all the your subnet, subnet, VPC, your security group, okay, AMI ID. Sometimes if you forget like which OS I have selected for this servers or from where which AMI I have launched this server, so you can just find here AMI ID, okay, and you can see here Amazon Linux location, Amazon Linux, okay, the version, and key pair also you can just get from here key pair and other details. Under the monitoring section, you can see your CPU utilization, network, traffic, okay, in out. As of now, there is no use cases, so you will not see any graph here. But as if you start using like any installation of the packages, just trying to hit the any URL of this servers, so you will get that graph here. You can see just one dot here. Okay. And just to note, CloudWatch is not a real-time log monitoring. It might take a few minutes to generate any particular graph. Okay. Sometimes if you do some troubleshooting, so just don't panic. It might take little bit, few minutes or seconds something to generate the graph basically. So you have to just patience on that. So immediately it will not generate a quick graph. Let's say you have just hit now and it will generate the graphs. Okay. At least wait a few seconds or minutes. It will generate the logs, the graph here. So under the security tab, you can see your security configuration, okay, where you can just open your port, okay, traffic. So we'll see that. And under the network, you can see your IP address and the VPC section. Under the storage, you will get this storage part, how much, which volume you can use, you are using, and the size and the status of that, okay, attach. Tags is basically just a identifier where you can add your tags like when you let's say you are working in the real time. So there is a tags like you can mention your project name, your ticket, Jira ticket numbers, who created, when it was created, okay, any particular reason or something, okay, depends on what your tags you are using. Even that some of the company you can use these tags to filter out in the billing section, okay. Sometimes you can face the billing based on the tag. Let's say you have a Linux servers, so you can just give the name like OS type Linux. In the billing section, you can just fetch that kind of data when you pull any particular reports. Okay. So there are different use cases for the tags. The main thing is for the identifier for which purpose project you are using, because in the real time there might be multiple projects like right. So we just need to give the proper tag there just to identify, because there might be different units if you look at the large scale industry. So now coming to some operations basically. So now first we will try to connect this server. So okay. So how we can connect? There is a two, three ways ideally. One is normally we will connect through the putty. So let me get this public IP address. Okay. What we need to connect the servers? First we need to get the public IP. We can just copy simply from here. I hope everyone has putty. If you don't have putty, you can just download from their official site. If you just not putty or you can just search putty download the putty.org basically the official website. Always make sure you follow the official website, not the any random one, because we don't know who launched the website and who kept their spamming data over there. Okay, as we have seen, if you aware about the spammers activities or the model like even behind the images as well, they can put the viruses or some virus or something. So we don't know which exe is corrupted or compromised. So always the recommended is we can use official website. Why it is not working? Okay, but you can use this official website. There might be issues, but this is the official website. Okay, and this is very simple low size applications. Okay. Under the session, you can just add the IP address of the servers which we want to connect, and then we need to import the private key. Okay. So you can expand this SSH button, then auth. Okay. And then you will get this credentials options here. Just click on that. And first option is import the private key. So you can just browse. And we have, when we launch the servers, we have downloaded this key file, key pair, right? So we can just select that and just open it and just click on open. Okay. It will ask first time a host key fingerprint. We can just click on accept, and then let me increase the font here. Okay. I hope font is visible. We can give the username here EC2-user. Okay. For the Amazon Linux. If you are using Ubuntu OS, okay, then just enter the username as a Ubuntu. Okay. So for now it's a Amazon Linux, so we can use Amazon AC2 user. Okay. In the normal use cases, like the traditional way, physical machine. So I think for the CentOS, it's a root user by default, right? If I'm correct. Okay, you can see this kind of welcome message banner basically. Okay, Amazon Linux version, and then you want to install any particular things, whatever you want to do, you can just run the particular commands or install any packages like that. Okay, this is the one way. If you want to check the normal other details like cat/etc OS release, you can get the OS related information here. Amazon Linux version, your Fedora based, like like that. So all the details you will get this. Okay. And the another way is like in the interview section, you might get sometime questions like, let's say you have a private key, but somehow you lost the private key or got deleted. So how you can connect these servers, right? So there is an option like select particular servers which where you want to connect, and you will get this option connect. Okay. So here you can just, you don't need to add anything here by default. You can just simply click on this connect button. Okay. And you will get the login prompt. Here we don't need to mention the username or something, because when we click on that, it will get the automatic username and the IP address. Okay. So if you make it sudo su just to switch user, you can see. This is the two methods you can use to log into your servers. Any questions till now?
I have one question is here. If my public on the private key is there, if I forget that, somehow it will be getting deleted from my systems.
Public key.
So yes. So how we can retrieve that? We required shutdown of that systems. This option is not available for me, for example. So how we can retrieve that?
Okay. So normally it's a very rare case, or until and unless we have human mistakes, because no one deleted the public key. Okay. But let's say you have this situation, then what we can do is basically you should have a one more working servers here where you can able
This
where
question
you
is
can.
this Namdev,
Yeah.
sorry, interrupt you. This question
Yeah.
is asked me before this organization is joining. On 2 years
Okay.
before, this question is asked me for the interview.
Yeah, definitely. This kind of question will definitely come in the intro section. Okay. So don't worry. So to get this, basically, you should have one working servers, one more additional. Okay. Either you can, if you don't have, you can just create temporary servers where you can able to log in to that servers by using putty or something. Okay. Then let's say you have this faulty servers. So what you can do is from the AWS, from the console, you have to first make it shut down. Okay. How you can shut down here instance state, you can just shut down it. Okay. And then next part is go to this storage section here. First thing you have to do is just note down this path, root device name path. Okay. On the notepad, you can just note down this. Okay. And just then go to this device. Okay. I'm in under the storage section now. Okay. For the faulty servers where you have deleted the public key. Just note down in the notepad somewhere for the safer side /dev xvda. Okay. Because we need that in the when we remount it. Okay. Then go to this particular volume ID. Either you can just click on that and you can just from action you can just detach it. Okay. Once you detach this volume, next thing is go to your working servers. Okay. Under the storage. Okay, I think I need to go from here volumes. Okay. So let's say you have this faulty server volume, for example. Okay. So here you need to attach it. Okay. As of now it's use cases, but just for the process I'm just explaining. You can attach from here, and when you attach, it will ask the servers where you want to connect that. Okay. So in that situation, you need to attach it to your working servers, not the faulty one, because we need to generate one more public key and private key there. Once you attach this faulty volume to your working Linux box, okay, then what you can do is you can just log into working servers, okay, and then you can generate ssh hyphen keygen. Okay, you can use that command to generate one more public key and private key, and then under the ssh configuration on the Linux servers, you can replace that public key there, and you can just copy your private generated private key on your local machine. Okay, then once this process done, then this faulty drive you can unmount from that particular working servers. Okay, let's say you have connected additional drive here, working servers, you can unmount it from the actions, just detach it, and again when you mount that drive to this original servers which is earlier faulty. Okay, then during the mount of that you need to give the proper this name. Okay, and then just start the servers, and you can use new private key to log into the servers in that situation.
Understand.
Okay, this is just simple process. Like same thing applicable for the private key as well. If you lost your private key file, okay, so let me draw here so others can understand. This is your faulty server. Okay, where either you lost your public or private key. Okay, both cases these tricks will work. So here you have a EBS volume. Okay, this is you need to create your either if you have any sandbox servers, so definitely you can use that. If you don't have any servers, then you can just create one more servers. Okay, where you can able to access via putty or something. Okay, so then remove this volume from here. Okay, mount it in the working servers here as an additional drive. Then execute your Linux commands. Okay, ssh hyphen keygen. If you're already aware about this Linux command, then it will generate one public key and your private key. Okay, so private key you can just copy that text format in your local machine, and you can just convert that ppk, ppk1, and public key you need to replace in the /etc or your ssh deconfiguration, right, where the public key we normally hosted place. So you can just replace this public key in that configuration, and that's it. Then again, that additional ABS volume you need to remount back to that your original servers. Then you can able to log into this faulty servers. So I hope everyone is
Without
clear on this.
without downtime, it will be possible.
Without downtime.
For example, we are doing a clone for the servers and doing that things.
Yeah, that tricks you can use. That's what AWS suggests to use. This what I can say where I draw this module basically. So let's say you have this situation for these servers. So at least you can remove the server from your load balancer. So your website will start serving the traffic from the healthy servers. So you can do all this activity. And again, once you have fixed this issue, you can remount and attach to this load balancer. So you will not get any major downtime here. So your application will run continuously. Even this
Okay.
architecture you can use to reduce your capacity of your servers for scaling, like increase the capacity. Okay, so we will
Understood.
see definitely when we set up this load balancer. So I will show you so other also can get the better idea. So the other operations, like when you select the servers, you will get other options like stop, reboot, terminate instance if you want to terminate it. Okay, and then from the actions you will get this connect option button here, or if you just click on this view details, you will get all the properties like we have already seen in this section here. Okay, under the instance settings, you will get this other options. Change that option, right? I want to show you that change termination protection. You will get this under this action, instance setting, and change termination protection. So now let's say we forget to enable that, okay, during the launch of the servers. So here you will have this option. You can just simply enable that and just save it. Okay, so if I am just trying to terminate it, I will not. Okay, you will see the options here. And if I try to make it terminate, I will not able to terminate it. Okay, because it's saying first disable the termination. Okay, so that is the use cases we need to follow in the real time. We need to enable this termination protection. If I just want to change again or disable, we can simply disable it and just save it. Okay, if I now terminate it, it will definitely directly terminate the servers. Okay, sorry. You can see the whatever the user data you want to check here. Okay, but you you can't make any changes or something because it's a one time activity and it will execute only when the server launch. Okay, not the reboot. The other option, like you can see in the security group, you can modify your security groups. Okay, let's say you have this configure the security group, but after that you created one more proper naming convention security group and you want to use that. Okay, so from here the list you can just select that proper created a security group and you can just attach it here, and then you can just remove the security groups. Okay, there is no impact, but whatever the ports you have open in this security group, that should be open in the newly created security groups. Okay, that is the condition. Otherwise, in this security group you have opened the SSH port, HTTPS, HTTP port, and in this newly created security group you have not configured anything. So in that situation, your traffic will impact, right? They will be not able to connect this applications or something. Then other operations like your let's say you want to take manual backup. Okay, which is we can say the AMI, Amazon Machine Image, complete backup of this servers. Okay, so you can just create this, create image, and we can just give the name and we can create it. Okay, I will show you this practical. So first thing what we can do is we can just install some packages here. Okay, just to where it is gone putty. Okay, so it's inactive. Just to reconnect again, we can just restart the session, so it will automatically refresh. We can just enter the username here. Okay, so now either you can use sudo, or just to avoid every time sudo, you can just use sudo and switch user basically. Okay, so you will get the admin privileges here. Okay, let's say I want to install some packages here. Let's say install nginx. Okay, Nginx is basically your web server where you deploy your website. So that website will accessible through the people outside the entire the global level basically. Okay. So package has been installed. So let's say let me restart the service. I think the command is changed in the latest version. You have to use systemctl. You can first check the status like systemctl status nginx. Okay, it's a stop state. So how we can start it? Simply start. Okay, you can see the status here running. If I try to hit now, let's see what will happen. I can hit this public IP address in the browser. It's not working because we haven't opened the security group rules here. Okay, so how we can open that? Just go to the security section, open this security group in the separate tab. Okay, and we can just open the port under the inbound rules. Okay, because AWS by default block all the traffics. They will not by default open the any traffics here. So how we can add the rules? Just click on the add rules and just HTTP select here. Okay, and just save. Okay, you can make it anywhere because it's a we can consider as an external application which will be it should be accessible through the entire global network. We can just make it anywhere and just save rules. Okay, that rule has been applied. Now if I try to hit refresh, you can see this nginx default page. Okay, and we can try to create one dummy data here just to check. I am under the root folder now. Root. If I just use ls command to check the list of folders and files, I don't have any folders now. So just use the mkdir command, the make directory to create the folders. Okay, I have this data folder. Inside data folder, how we can go to that particular location? You can use cd command. Okay, ls command is to show the list of files and folders. You can see there are no any files. I can create any sample file here. Okay, you can see touch is basically to create the files. You can see we have this file.txt. VIM is basically editor. We normally use Notepad in our local machine. So similar that it's a editor. And if I open this file in the VIM, so how we can go into the insert mode? Just press I here. Okay. So we can just type the text here. Okay. Let's say demo batch EC2 server. Okay. How you can save this data now? Just press escape, then shift colon and just type WQ. Okay. That file will save. If you want to check the data, you can use cat command. Okay. To check the file content, you can see this demo batch EC2 servers where we have created the servers file slash root slash data. This is the location. Okay. So now what we can do is I'm just log out from the server. Let's say you have the requirement like create one image from the servers and launch one more server. Okay. So we have just installed this Nginx servers. Then your we have created some folders and files. Okay. So one more thing I have just forgot. Just we need to make the service on boot restarted. Okay. So we have sometimes what we in the Windows as well. We have just make this by default option like if any service or server rebooted, that service should automatically started. Okay. So there is a simple command like systemctl just enable and then your service name. Okay. So this will make your service on when your server got rebooted, it will automatically start. Okay. So now I will create one manual backup here. How we can create the manual backup? Select that particular servers, then from the action, image and create image. Okay. Give the name like demo EC2 Linux backup or something. Okay. And just select this no reboot options here. Okay. For practical, you can ignore, but if you are taking manual backup for the Linux live machine, okay, just select that because when the backups process going on, so that server should not be rebooted over there, okay, because it will impact, right? The traffic might be disconnected. So just make sure this option should be enabled here, no reboot, and just simply click on this create image. So it will take little bit time, depends upon your how much EBS volume size is there. We have very less size like 8 GB. It will not take too much time. So how we can check the status backup completed or not? So we can just scroll down a little bit. Under the images, you can see the options AMIs. Okay. So under the AMIs, you can see this. We have give the name right demo EC2 Linux backup, and you can see the status is pending. It may take little bit time. We can just do refresh here. These options you can filter out from this setting icon. If you don't want this source, honor, visibility, platform, okay, you can just disable that and you can just filter out options. Okay, you can see the status now here. So meantime, what we can say is just interview point of view. You might get the questions like AMIs and the snapshot. Okay. So difference between that is like AMI is backup of full servers. Okay. Your complete server backup where whatever the additional volume drives is there, your root volumes all will cover in the AMIs, whatever you have package installed or something. Okay. Snapshot is basically your only drives backup, your EBS volume. Let's say you want to take the backup of this particular volume. Okay. But let's say for this, so you can just go to this action and create snapshot. This is just to backup of your single hard drive. Okay. Not the complete servers. Okay. That is the difference. So you can see the status now. The status is available. Okay. So now we can launch the server from the backup. How we can launch? Just simply click on that servers. Okay. Not the servers, that AMI. And you can see the options here. Launch instance from AMI. Okay. You can just give the name like new demo Linux. Okay. Here we don't need to select the OS because we are launching it from the existing AMIs. Okay. Now you can follow the normal standard practice here, which instance configuration types, okay, you want to use. Either you can go with the default one or you want to increase the server capacity behind the load balancer. So definitely you can go with the higher configuration, but just for now we can go with the free tier eligible. Okay. Key pair, either you can use existing one or you can create new one. It's up to you, but better to use existing one if you are using it for the same applications. Okay. Just to avoid the multiple key pair. So you can select from here VPC. You can select the our demo DevOps VPC. Okay. Subnets. You need to select the public subnets. Okay. Because we want to use application access website this from the outside. So here you can just check one settings. Let me open that. Our current servers created in which availability zones we can see app south 1A, right? This demo server. So this server we will launch in different one. You can select from here. You can see demo DevOps subnet public 2, which is in AP South 1B. Okay, you can select this. You can select existing security group because we want to use for the same. You can select this demo. Then storage, if you want to increase, you can definitely go and increase. Okay. If you don't want, you can just keep as it is. But just to note here, if you want to add additional drive here, like let's say 8 GB, you want to make it 30 GB or something, it will not directly increase if from the last batch guys they already know, like we tried for the Windows machine. So after that we need to perform some additional commands to extend the partitions, right? We have seen in the last troubleshooting areas, if you're aware about that part. Okay. So for now we can just go with this default one, 8 GB, and we can simply launch it. So let's go to the EC2 section. Let me filter it out with the keywords demo, which this is our older one. Okay, original basically, and this one is for a new one. Okay, we can see the availability zones now. The original one is in A1, and this one is in 1B, right? 1A, 1B. Any doubts till now on this configuration? Everyone clear about how we can launch one more server from the backup copy AMIs?
Yes, sir.
So use cases of this creating the same servers from the existing backup copy. Either we can use for the any patch activities like any troubleshootings where we want to upgrade any particular version. Okay, so directly doing on the live server, there might be a big issues, right? Challenges. If something goes wrong, then our website will be impacted. So to avoid this kind of situation, we can either the best practices we can launch, take a backup of this original servers, production servers. Then from that AMI's Amazon machine image, we can launch one more server. Okay, and we can do whatever the R&D we want to try, like your patching activities, any version upgradation or something. So once we are confident with that, we can follow this process. Okay, in that case, you can just execute that same steps on that original servers. But still, we have to, for the safer side, you can just take one backup copy, because in the technical words we don't know what wrong will happen sometimes. Okay, we don't know sometimes gray areas or uncertainty. So just safer side, just take the backup copy. So in terms of something goes wrong with the patching activities or something, so at least we will have a rollback plan, so we can launch the fresh copy from that. Okay, where the working service. So now we can try to just access newly launched server, new one. Let me try to this copy IP address and let me hit in the browser. You can see we on the original servers before the backups we have installed the Nginx, right? So that is we got the ready-made configuration here. Let's log into that server and check the files we created. Okay, this is the new server. Okay, not the older one. Let's open the putty, paste the new server IP address here. Let me increase the font 18 or 16. Okay, and under the SSH auth, just select these credentials and import the private IP address. Okay, this one, and just click on open. It will ask fingerprint because it's created new server, and just give the EC2 user here, and just we can just check which location that you can just go to that particular data folder and your files. Okay, if you want to check the file content, okay, demo batch EC2 servers, right? So you will get all everything whatever you have taken the backup from the original servers. Okay, you will get all the stuffs there. So you don't need to additionally install the same services, same packages or folders. Basically, you will get all the ready-made where we have taken the backup. Okay. Now I want to show quickly that additional troubleshooting areas before closing today's session. So I hope till now everyone is clear, like launching of the EC2 servers, security groups rules, how we can open, the general properties, how we can check for the servers, then the security group section monitoring, the action part, how we can enable the termination protection here, then how we can take the backups. Any doubts till now? Okay. So let me show you, like, let's say you have the requirement in the real time. So you have this 8 GB servers, okay, but somehow due to valid data, just a minute. Okay. So in the real time, you might get this situation, your storage is getting full, okay, because of the valid data or logs where you don't want to reduce it, okay. So how we can get sorted this basically, you can just open this volume and you can simply increase the size. You can see as of now 8 GB. How we can modify, just select that volume, okay, modify the volume and increase the size. Okay, if I try to reduce it, you can see not in decrease, okay, you can only increase the size, okay. So let me make it to 20 GB or something, 20 GB, and just modify it, okay. He will give the one documentation link here, Linux. I can just simply open it and just modify it, okay. It will take little bit time, depends on the size, how much you are giving more, okay. So you need to just wait few minutes or seconds here because it's in, you can see the status. Let me filter out this volume. How you can filter out? You can just copy the volume ID and just paste here. Okay. I will remove this all the filter options from here, setting button. Type, throughput, snapshot, availability zones. Okay. And the created. Okay. Don't use this additional volume immediately because you need to make it should be 100% completed here. Okay. Just wait till now. So meantime, what we can do is we can log into that newly created servers because this is the volume of the newly created servers, right? So we can again go to that putty configuration. Let me change the font 16. This one, right? New demo Linux. Just copy the public IP address. On this troubleshooting area, I have already created the video on my channel. So definitely you can just find there as well. And just SSH credentials, import the private key and connect. Okay. Is font visible to everyone clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now if I run the command fdisk -l, okay, I need to use sudo. So and I'm just making it full privileges. Okay, sudo su. Now, seriously, in current organization, I almost forgot to use Linux. Okay, because there is no use case. They everywhere is containerization. Okay, so because of this batch, so I'm just using this command. So you can see as of now, it's showing the 20 GB storage. Okay, if I run this command df-h, df-h command is just to check the disk space. Okay, in Windows machine, you can directly go to the graphical way, right? We can check the storage status, how much total storage, then how much free, like that. Okay, but in the Linux, we can use this df-h command to check the disk space status. Okay, you can see as of now 8 GB is allocated. Okay, and if I check actual storage, how much is showing? 20 GB. Okay, so remaining 12 GB we need to extend basically the partition. Okay, so we can just follow this documentation. Let me go to that section, the documentation, looking for something. I think they change the page. or I can simply search how to extend Linux EBS volume in AWS. Okay. Okay, I think they have renamed their page, but they have not updated in their troubleshooting configuration. Okay, anyways, so there is 2-3 commands basically for Linux we can extend. How we can check this file partition? Uh, Not partition. This is a file type basically. TF-HT. Okay, T is capital T. You can see the types here. Okay, it's a XFS file system, like in Windows FAT32 NTFS, like that. If you already aware about this file system. Okay, so it's our is it ext4. Sorry, let me check once again. It's XFS. Okay, 8 GB. So how we can extend that? To extend the file system of EBS volume, first we can use this command lsblk. Okay, let me run that lsblk. This will show the actual size, and the actual size is 8 GB, but we have upgraded to 20 GB. Okay, so we need to make it grow the partition basically. Okay, so just scroll down a little bit. This is the command we just executed, right? To check the file system. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Okay, let me go to top. What is the mount point? This one, right? Okay, the partition size is changed. So now we need to run one more command here. Resize to fs. Now if I just check, we can see the space earlier it was showing the 8 GB, right? So now you can just see this difference. 20, it will extend to 20 GB. If I run again the command df-h, how it increase, you can see 20 GB, right? So this is the simple command, 2 3 commands. I'm just let me copy that. Where I can copy. Okay, either I can paste here, so you can just get it. First, we need to increase the partitions. Okay, and the second command is grow fs. If you have a different file system like ext4 or something, you need to run the different command. Okay. And the reference link is this one. Now we will check is our data loss or not, because we have increased the storage, right? From 8 GB to 20 GB. We close this. Okay, our size is increased from 8 GB to 20 GB. You can see the difference here. Okay. So now if I check the data, our data is still there. Okay. So this process will not lose any data. But when you do in the real time for any production servers, just for the best practice for the any to avoid any human mistakes or manual mistakes. Okay. So just take the backup of the servers when you do for the real time any critical servers in the production. How you can take the backup before this activity? You can just simply select that server as we have seen. Okay, just click on this from the action image and create image. Okay, which we have taken this backup. Okay, so if I just again check the status of this volume 20 GB, I can go with this volume section and check. You can see the size has been increased, right, successfully, and volume state is in use. So this way you can increase the EBS volume size without taking any downtime.
How
Any
to unmount
doubts?
this disk?
Sorry.
How to unmount this 20 GB disk?
No, it's a real-time server, so how you can unmount it? It will impact the server, right?
Okay.
Why you want to unmount it?
If any in case if you want to unmount this, that's why I'm asking you.
Okay, you can just shut down the servers and then just simply click this volume, select, and from the action button, you can just detach it.
Okay.
This option, detach
But
option.
in Linux command mode.
Sorry.
In Linux, just like you mount the in command lines, na? That's why I'm asking you for in just like how to unmount this in commands.
No, I have not mounted this volume. It's already attached to that servers. I just increase
Okay.
the size.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have additional drive, then you can just make this file entry, fs type entry there. And you can use the
Okay.
mount command on the Linux system. Mount and unmount command to mount and unmount the drive. But if you have a default root volume, you can just simply from the action button, you can just detach it. So any other questions before wrap up for the today?
One more question in just like EC2 section. If our user unable to access our instance, then what is how much troubleshooting?
Let me connect the charger. It's battery almost drained. Just 1 minute. Yeah, so there might be different cases like if you are not able to connect your servers. So obviously we can just okay. ठीक है, हाँ, मम्मी कड़ी घेऊन जा. Okay, so to if you have a getting this issue like not able to connect servers, so there might be different things. First, definitely you can just check with this security group if you are the traffic is allowed or not for the your source IP. It might be your VPN address or something. Okay, then check the server utilization and then the CPU utilization like that. In that case, if the display is also getting full, so in that case as well, we might seen sometime this issue. But the major is like the security groups as a first priority. We can just check with that. The traffic is allowed or not to connect. And this second thought is if you are getting like private key related issues, as we have discussed, the fingerprint is not matching or if you are trying from the different wrong private key file, that also we need to check. Are we using right key pair or something? Am I clear on this?
Yes, but if means user yesterday means कालपर्यंत तो सक्सेसफुली लॉग इन करत होता पण आजच असं काही इश्यू झाला की आज तो लॉग इन करू शकत नाही ऍक्सेस करू शकत नाही.
Yeah, first you have to check that at least security group if something someone changes that's security settings, firewall rules, then the server status. Okay, as I said, if your server status like this to by this if these checks are fail, so in that situation as well you might not you might face that issue. You might not able to log in this case if any of the checks fails. So in that situation you need to reboot the servers to resolve that.
EC2 चं लॉग जरा दाखवतं का म्हणजे कसं आपण ट्रबल शूटिंग करू शकतो EC2 च्या लॉग मधून.
So normally when we use traditional machine in our earlier organization, we use their deny host additional server service where we can block the particular IP address or something. If you do normally multiple attempts failure, in that case our IP also got blocked there in the configuration. So in that case we need to remove that our source IP address to make a connection again. Let me log
मराठी
in
सांगा सर
again
फक्त
this.
आता 6 जणच आहे आपण इथं कोण मला वाटलं इंग्लिश मध्ये असेल असं याला मराठी समजणार नाही असं कोण नाही मला वाटतं इथं मराठी सांगा.
Okay, let me stop this recording then.